RPI senior football player Jimmer Krecek is a man of one singular talent. On the gridiron, he's a long snapper. Punts, field goals, he does one thing and he does it very well. But off the football field, he is a man of many talents. For example, he flies. The aerospace engineering major has his pilot's license, and he took sports reporter Brittany DeVane on a joyride over the capital region this afternoon. Aviation has always been Krecek's passion, and soon it's going to be his profession. But right now, he's focused on his final couple of semesters, his final couple of games with the Engineers, and just enjoying the view on a picture-perfect day in Upstate.
RPI football visits Springfield this Saturday, but first, Jimmer Krecek took some time today in your busy schedule to take me up on the plane. Now, we're going to see from inside the cockpit in just a little bit. But first of all, why did you want to get into flying? When did that love first kind of come to you?
Well, it all started when there was a lot of trips down to Florida when I was little. My great-grandma lived in Fort Lauderdale, and being from Chicago, flying was obviously the only way we could really get down and back in a quick time. And I always had the window seat. I was always looking out, and I think my parents kind of caught on to that. I got a couple, fighter jet video games when I was young, and then another flight simulator for my computer that kind of just sparked the interest and let you kind of virtually do your thing and fly around. And that was just a lot of fun. And I never really thought it was something that I could have as a career, but I always just thought that it was something that was a lot of fun and really enjoyable.
Now, a lot of kids love to fly, but as you mentioned, you never thought it was going to turn into a career. You can love to fly, but then to take a step further and go to school for what you're going to school for, to be an engineer, where did that leap come in the timeline of kind of your life?
So in high school, for whatever reason, I'm really not 100% sure, I just kind of lost interest in aviation and flying in general. And then all of a sudden, senior year, I started applying engineering schools and whatnot, and then late in senior year, I was like, hey, maybe I'd rather be a pilot. But at that stage of the game, it was a little too late, and I was already committed and whatnot. So I didn't realize it at the time, but I eventually sort of realized that, hey, I made a good decision and that I can be an engineer and be a pilot on the side, but I can't be a pilot and be an engineer on the side. It's a little bit different. So I'm glad that things kind of turned out the way they did. But being an aeronautical engineer definitely helps with your scientific understanding of what makes a plane fly and all the mechanics behind it. But then obviously flying the plane gives you sort of that palpable, like in cockpit experience, which is also really nice.
What is the best part about flying?
Oh, the best part, I thought it would be, getting way up there and flying fast and all that by myself, but I never really thought that I could use it as a vehicle to kind of share it with others. And that's really been the best part for me, is being able to share it with my friends and my family, and showing them what it's like, because it's not every day you get to go up in a small plane and see the world from 2,000 feet as opposed to 36,000 feet up in an airliner. And that's definitely been the most rewarding for me, is being able to share it with those around me.
Is there a particular trip that stands out to you as maybe the favorite trip you've ever taken?
Oh man, probably the two trips I took them. I took my parents each on separate flights, and we back home in Chicago we flew the Skyline, got to see Wrigley Field, Soldier Field, and that was definitely a very, very cool perspective, because you see it driving up and down Lakeshore Drive in Chicago as a kid, and seeing the city from a whole different angle out on the lake was definitely a very cool experience, especially to experience it with my parents like I did.
Where do you want to take flying? Is it just going to be something that is a hobby on the side? Because I know you have a job lined up after college.
Yes.
So how far do you want to take your piloting?
So right now, I do have a plan, like you said. I'm going to go out to Boeing in Seattle in the fall or summer after graduation. Right now, I just want to fly on the side and keep it casual and keep sharing with my family and whatnot. Maybe somewhere down the road, if there's a possibility to turn that into a professional pilot career and be a commercial pilot, if that door opens up, great. But if not, this is just as fun being out here in the little planes and flying around nice and low and slow.
First of all, congratulations on Boeing.
Thank you.
Second of all, how did that come about?
So it came about last fall. I actually applied to a position online for an on-campus interview, and was able to get an on-campus interview. And pretty quickly, it was a quick turnaround process, and I knew within about 4 days that I had an internship offer to go out into the Seattle area. I actually had to miss a game last year, which wasn't exactly ideal. But what they did was they flew us out there, and it was sort of like you already had the job, but it was interviewing different managers for different spots and different positions across their company. So I actually had to miss the Springfield game last year, so it'd be nice to come to the game this year. and it's just good to be back here for sure, as opposed to being in Seattle.
How much has the pressure been taken off you as a student athlete in your senior year of college to know at the end of this?
The pressure's definitely been taken off. I mean, searching for a job is like another class. It just takes up a lot of time, especially filling out all sorts of resumes and doing different cover letters and things like that. Definitely a nice burden to have off my shoulders, knowing that I have something under my wing, so to speak, going into the pardon the pun, going into my post-grad life.
Before we talk about this season and what you guys are doing right now on the football field, I want to talk about a couple seasons ago when you were long snapping for a one Andrew Franks.
Yes.
What was that experience like? I know I've heard Coach Isernia say that any time he crossed the 50-yard line, he knew he was going to get points out of it. To be so involved in such a prolific time in RPI history, what was that like for you from your vantage point?
I mean, honestly, it was more. I shouldn't say, I don't know if comforting is the right word, but it was nice going out there knowing that if I got my job done, we were going to get points. And frankly, I still feel the same way with our current kicker, Christian Cap. If I get the snap back there, if I get it on point, and as long as the holder does his job, then we'll be good. We'll get 3 points every time.
I can't imagine that realistically going to a Division III college that you thought maybe someday that one of your teammates, you're going to be able to watch him every Sunday night in a starting role or for an NFL team. What level of pride do you have in seeing him do what he does?
It's pretty cool. It's definitely interesting knowing that, you know, that's the same leg that was on our sideline a couple of years ago. It's now, you know, making hundreds of thousands of dollars and scoring points all over the NFL. It definitely makes you think it's a little more, you know, possible. So, I mean, you see other guys from D3 come across all the time, every now and then, and get their shining spotlight in the NFL. But it definitely made it feel a little more real, I guess, so to speak, knowing that it was someone who you spend every day with at practice and in meetings and things like that. It was definitely a very cool experience, and still cool to keep in touch with him every now and then.
You still do talk to him?
Now and then, yeah. I know he's a busy guy, so. But yeah, every now and then we'll shoot each other a text. It's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Well, coming up on the last couple of games of your senior year, as I mentioned, going to Springfield this weekend. But then on the other side of that, it's the Shoes game, which is just such a great rivalry game. Knowing that you only have a couple games left in an RPI uniform, are you just trying to take advantage of every moment you get? Yeah,
I mean, that's all that really any senior can do, honestly. But we try to make sure that these moments aren't really different from any other moments we have during the season. You know, it's another game. Yes, we're playing for the Shoes, and yes, we have, you know, our last road game here coming up in Springfield. But we really try to take each game in stride, and it's really no different from the next from our perspective.
Well, thank you so much for taking me up today. I
Absolutely.
had a blast with you.
I'm glad.
Good luck this weekend against Springfield.
Thank you. Appreciate it.